Carol Templeton, HOA vice president with a god complex and a short blonde bob, watched smugly from her balcony, sipping a sugar-free Red Bull like it was a victory toast. She had no idea I was the developer. By the time the officers figured it out, Carol had unknowingly triggered a financial audit, one I had ordered, and I was just getting started. I'm Brad Colson, 39, former civil engineer turned real estate investor with a passion for minimalist cabins and maximum peace. I built a 12-unit rental cabin project nestled on a sliver of land at the edge of Aspen Reef Estates, just outside their HOA jurisdiction. Solar panels, composting toilets, hand-cut cedar siding, the works. It took me 3 years of sweat, permits, and instant coffee in a trailer that smelled like sawdust. The HOA didn't even exist until 3 years ago, when a few early homeowners decided the grass needed to be exactly 2 3/4 inches tall. Enter Carol, an HOA lifer who treated bylaws like divine scripture and me like I was a feral squatter. She never asked who funded the expansion, who owned 9 of the 12 cabins, who literally stamped the blueprints. Her first strike? Cabin 6. Charged me $50 for excessive forest aesthetics and a non-native fire pit. She delivered the notice herself, urgent, red ink, manila envelope, complete with a pamphlet on landscape harmony. Then came the noise complaints. Kids laughing after 8 p.m.? Violation. Carol set up in her backyard with a decibel meter like she was conducting a scientific study on human joy. Guests got warnings for pine needles and smiling too loudly. She even interrogated renters at the mailbox cluster, clipboard in hand, asking about unauthorized esmores activity, whatever that means. The last straw? Carol pacing the property line at dawn with surveyor's tape, claiming my fire pits were 6 inches over. Never mind that the line was on my land. I sent her a letter clarifying that HOA rules didn't apply to my commercially zoned, privately owned rentals. She responded with a cease and desist, in papyrus font, quoting Bible verses about being a good neighbor. Then she called the sheriff, claiming I was running an illegal campground. Deputies showed up. I handed over permits, LLC filings, rental licenses, zoning maps. Sergeant Morrison skimmed through the documents, then turned to Carol. "Ma'am, you said this was an unlicensed operation." "She's disrupting residential harmony," she snapped. "Actually," I said, pointing to the blueprint stamped with my name, "I built this section, funded it, still own most of it, and the HOA has no legal reach here." Carol's face turned crimson. Gary, her husband, stood silently nearby, radiating a decade of HOA-induced exhaustion. I filed a complaint with the county. Then I bought 2 more cabins, enough to become the majority stakeholder. Called a board meeting. She didn't know I could vote. We met in the converted garage community center, which smelled like old carpet and regrets. I showed up in flip-flops, opened my briefcase, and motioned for a full audit of the HOA's finances. It passed 3-1. Carol was the lone no. Her face shifted from rage to panic. Turns out she'd spent over $12,000 of HOA funds on enforcement gear, a golf cart with HOA enforcement stenciled on the side, a megaphone, a $900 sash, and even a violation detection kit with pH strips for lawn sprinklers. She'd also billed the HOA for books like Neighborhood Tyranny for Dummies and a weekend seminar titled Maximizing HOA Authority Through Strategic Intimidation. The local paper ran the headline, HOA Queen Goes Rogue, Crown Self Loses Kingdom. It featured Carol in her sash, glaring like a suburban mall cop. I renamed Cabin 6 Templeton's Terrors. Guests loved it. Bookings surged. We added fake violation notices and even hired a Carol impersonator who'd show up with a tape measure. The county fined her $15,000 and banned her from HOA leadership permanently. At the hearing, Carol stood with her binder of evidence, mostly fire pit photos and outdated bylaws, insisting I was destroying the character of the neighborhood. Commissioner Patricia Wells, unfazed, said, "Ma'am, you've misused public resources, harassed a legitimate developer, and embarrassed your own board." Carol now lives in a trailer 2 counties over. Rumor has it she started an HOA with her dog. As for me, I'm designing 3 more cabins, and each one has a fire pit exactly 6 inches from where Carol marked, just to keep the spirit alive.